Hey everyone, my name is Faith and I'm a mom of 2 living in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I eat a plant-based diet and love sharing plant-based recipes and meal prep ideas on my channel. I meal prep every week and it's honestly changed my life and helps my home run more smoothly and efficiently. Meal prepping allows my family to eat healthy, balanced meals throughout the week and makes mealtimes less stressful, especially with 2 little kids who get hangry. And let's be honest, I get hangry too sometimes. Meal prep also helps us save a lot of money, so that is a big bonus. So stick around if you want to see a typical grocery haul for us here in Malaysia and also all the food I meal prep over the weekend. I like to meal prep ingredients instead of complete meals so that we can mix and match foods to create a variety of healthy, flavorful meals throughout the week and not get bored of eating the same thing over and over again. Alright, quick grocery haul on the kitchen floor. Bananas. I have so many bananas already, but I am always trying to freeze them, use them in baking, so I always have bananas in my grocery order. Whole wheat flour. You guys know we aren't a fully vegan house, plant-based house, so we usually have eggs. Flaxseed for granola bars and energy bites. This week's meal prep is going to be a Mediterranean themed one, and we are currently obsessed with orzo and roasted veggies and a lemon dressing, so yes, gonna make some falafel. Don't mind the plastic, that's how it came. Broccoli, just some condiments that we were running low on that I like to have stocked. Kale, cucumbers, I'm gonna make some dill pickles, some fresh herbs, which now I realized I didn't get 2 other herbs I ordered, so we'll see what I can come up with. Romaine, veggies for roasting, I'm gonna roast all of these. The zucchini, the eggplant, bell peppers, mushrooms, red onion. We go through tons of apples, so I got 2 packs this week. A pineapple, and I didn't realize I had a ton of lemons already. We are fully stocked for sure. Some carrots we just like to munch on or roast, and some white beans for a white bean salad. So this is the grocery haul. We also got a pack of dates, which my 2-year-old son was very excited about. Oh, these are big juicy ones. Oh, so gooey. Should we cut it? Hudson, can you do a happy dance? Your happy date dance? You love dates.
Morning date.
Okay.
I
I'm done cutting it. Okay, why don't you sit on the floor? They're sticky. Okay, come get your apples and peanut butter. Cinnamon apples and peanut butter. You go to the table. This is the before of the kitchen in shambles. And it's time to clean it up. So much better. I feel like a kitchen with no dishwasher always looks dirty. Yeah, we'll throw that away. But we've got the dishes put away, dried chickpeas out so I don't forget to soak them. We've got the ripe bananas frozen, the other one's in. And we're about to go on a walk, aren't we, Hugman? So the night before I wanted to do the bulk of my meal prep, I took those dried chickpeas, which the whole bag ended up being about 2 cups, and I soaked them in room temperature water on the counter overnight, and that was what I was going to use to make my falafel. So if you've never tried your hand at making homemade falafel, definitely try out using dried chickpeas. I'll be sure to leave all the recipes I meal prep in this video down in the description box, so be sure to check them out. As many of you who have been watching my channel regularly know, I love to wake up early, and about once a week I like to spend my morning meal prepping while my kids are asleep. I often make a warm beverage. For me, that's often black tea with some oat milk, and I just knock out a bunch of meal prep while my kids are asleep, and it sets us up for a healthy, balanced week of food the entire week. I like to go into my meal prepping sessions with a game plan, and this week's theme was Mediterranean. A couple weeks beforehand, we had hosted a friend and I had made a meal with Orzo Salad, roasted veggies, a white bean salad, lemon vinaigrette, and it was amazing, and we are not sick of that combo, so I decided to recreate it along with some breakfast items and snack items. To start, I'm just cutting up a pineapple. I find that if I don't cut up our pineapple right away, it gets moldy. So I cut up the pineapple into pieces, and this always is just so helpful when my kids want a snack or I need to pair a fruit with our breakfast to have it already cut up and ready to go. I feel like everyone cuts a pineapple differently, so I'm curious how you cut your pineapple. Let me know down below if you cut your pineapple similar to how I cut mine. But after this was cut, I just put it in a Tupperware container and stored it in the fridge. Next up, I wanted to make some homemade pickles. I love having a pickled veggie in our fridge or a pickled onion just to put on top of salads or Buddha bowls or wraps. I just find it adds so much flavor and crunch and zestiness. So here I'm just cutting up some small cucumbers into little rounds. You could also cut them into spears, whatever you like. And then all I did was stick them into a jar along with some fresh garlic. And then I made a mixture of water, white vinegar, a little bit of maple syrup. You could also just use sugar and boil it to dissolve the sugar, some salt and pepper. Ideally, I would add some fresh dill to this, but I didn't receive it in my order, so we are just being flexible and using what we had. But once I made my vinegar mixture, I just poured this over my cut up cucumbers, sealed the jars, and put them in the fridge for us to enjoy throughout the week. Whenever I plan to meal prep a bunch of items, I love to make a to-do list or a checklist that I can check off as I go. It just keeps me motivated and excited for all the progress I'm making. So next I'm making some oat milk. I am currently trying to avoid quite a few ingredients as I heal my adult acne. So I love to have this homemade simple oat milk on hand for me to use in my baked oatmeals or whenever I'm baking a baked good for my family. It's just such an inexpensive oat milk versus buying it at the store. At least here in Malaysia, non-dairy milk is really expensive, so this probably costs me less than $1 for a whole liter's worth, and I can make it in about 1 minute, honestly. It takes no time at all and is really inexpensive, so I always have about 1 liter or 2 of this in my fridge so that I can use it whenever I need to bake or make smoothies, or I have it on cereal sometimes too. And as you could see, all this milk requires is some cold water and oats. You could also sweeten it with dates or maple syrup, add a pinch of salt. Just get creative and make it your own. Next up, I am juicing a bunch of lemons as I want to use them in a few different ingredients or recipes. So here I am just saving myself a bunch of time. Instead of juicing a lemon every time I need it, I just juiced a bunch. And I started with using some in some homemade hummus. You guys have seen me make hummus a ton of times before. This is just my basic go-to hummus recipe. And whenever I'm short on time, I just chuck all the ingredients in my food processor and blend it until smooth. Ideally, I would take the time to froth the lemon juice and tahini and then add in the ingredients separately. But today we are just making do with a short amount of time. I chose to do half olive oil, half water this time. If you want a really rich hummus, use all olive oil. If you want an oil-free hummus, you can use aquafaba or water and just thin it out until it's the consistency you desire. I like to have a thick hummus to use as a spread for sandwiches. I can always thin it out with some pasta water for a pasta sauce. It's really versatile and I love having hummus on hand all throughout the year. Next, I am using my dirty food processor, might as well not wash it, and we are gonna make some homemade falafel. I love falafel. I could eat it every day for the rest of my life and never get sick of it, but I don't like that it's often deep fried in a bunch of oil, so I like to make some baked falafel. So here I am just mincing up some fresh cilantro and garlic. Ideally, I would have a bunch more cilantro as well as fresh parsley, but I didn't receive those in my order, so we are just gonna use some dried parsley and the little bit of fresh cilantro that I did receive, and we are gonna add in those dried chickpeas that I drained and rinsed, and some red onion and a bunch of spices, and then I just process this down until it becomes a moldable dough. You're also gonna need a little bit of olive oil to help the dough hold together. I ended up using extra lemon juice and less oil just for a lighter falafel, but just keep in mind that your falafel may end up a little bit more dry if you omit the oil. My batter ended up being a little bit too damp, so I just added about a tablespoon of flour, and then I used some damp hands to form patties. You could make really small ones that are a more traditional falafel shape. I ended up making kind of medium-sized burgers that I could break up and put on salads or use as the filling for a sandwich or a pita, and these came in so handy all week long, and again, I could never get sick of falafel. This recipe makes quite a bit of falafel patties, so you could always freeze some for later, or if you have a large family, it will be really nice to have quite a large protein source on hand for a few meals throughout the week. But once you make your patties, you're just going to bake these in the oven. You could brush them with a little bit of olive oil to make them crispier, but I just keep them dry and bake them for about 15 minutes on each side, flipping them halfway through until they are nice and set and compact. In keeping things very realistic, no, my dishes don't wash themselves, so often when I'm doing a big meal prep, I need to take a dishwashing break. Especially without a dishwasher, I need to wash things by hand so that I can use appliances again, or just keep my kitchen semi-neat. Next up, I'm cooking up some orzo. I had completely forgotten about orzo until recently. I was listening to a podcast, one of my favorites, and the lady was talking about a salad she made recently with roasted veggies and olives and orzo, and it got me to buy orzo again, and we have been loving it. If you don't know what orzo is, it's basically a rice-shaped pasta. So it does contain gluten, but it is delicious, and you can use it more as a rice if you want, or a pasta with a sauce or a dressing. For this week's menu, I am making a lemon vinaigrette. I find it goes really well on the orzo. So I whipped up a simple lemon vinaigrette with some olive oil, lemon juice, Dijon, maple syrup, salt, pepper, garlic, and I just poured a little bit of this on the cooked and cooled orzo just to keep the little pieces of orzo from sticking together while they sat in the fridge. And we added more of the dressing when we needed to throughout the week. And this was so nice to have on hand for a good carb source. Usually I would choose a whole grain carb source, but sometimes you just gotta go with what sounds good. So once I had my orzo all cooked and coated in a little bit of dressing with the olive oil in it to keep the grains from sticking together, I just poured it into a large Tupperware container, sealed it, and stuck it in the fridge. By this point, my falafel had baked and cooled, and so I put that into containers. It took up about 2 containers, which was so nice to have so much falafel to enjoy throughout the week. We ended up going on a family hike, and then during nap time, I finished up my meal prep, starting with removing my sourdough starter from the fridge so that it could come to room temperature. I have so many sourdough recipes that I want to share with you, but I'm not sure if you guys are interested in sourdough starter recipes or discard recipes, so please let me know. But while my sourdough starter was coming to temp, I made 5 different pots of overnight oats. 3 of them were chocolate overnight oats made with rolled oats, chia seeds, cacao, some cacao chips, and that oat milk. And then I just used a touch of maple syrup. It wasn't very sweet. And then the other 2 containers were my cookie dough overnight oats. Yes, we do like chocolatey sweet things for breakfast. And right now my daughter is kind of picky about oatmeal, so I'm just trying to find ways that she enjoys it again. She loves baked oatmeal cups, or my blended baked oats, but the only other way she will eat it is in overnight oats. She doesn't like it on the stovetop. So I'm just trying to make it super exciting for her so that she can grow to love oatmeal again, because it's just such an easy breakfast option and really affordable. So we've got some cookie dough overnight oats and some chocolate overnight oats that came in really handy on those early mornings when my kids were hungry and ready for breakfast. By this point, my sourdough starter was a little warmer after being out of the fridge, so I whipped up some sourdough flatbreads with some of the discard. So this was so easy. It was my first time making this recipe. I will link it down below. And all I did was whisk together some flour, salt, and baking powder, and then I added some sourdough starter as well as some non-dairy milk and a touch of olive oil, and just formed this into a dough. I didn't have a ton of time to wait and let my sourdough starter get warmer, so I ended up adding a pretty thick sourdough starter. So in the end, I needed to add a little bit more non-dairy milk, but this recipe was super forgiving and I just added more non-dairy milk until a dough came together, which was a little bit too sticky, so then I added another tablespoon of flour. Basically just eyeball it, and you want a thin, moldable, kneadable dough that you can knead until it's nice and smooth and elasticy. Once my dough came together, I just kept it in the bowl that I kneaded it in and covered it with a towel to rest for about 30 minutes. Oh, and pro tip, if you pat your dough, it tastes better. While my flatbread dough was resting, I made 2 different kinds of energy bites, and instead of walking you through 2 different recipes, I decided to just put the recipes on the screen and show you how they are basically the same makeup. About 2 cups of quick oats, a half a cup of mix-ins, and then about a cup's worth of nut butter and liquid sweetener. I usually use a little bit more nut butter to liquid sweetener just to keep things lower in sugar and higher in fats and protein to keep us fuller for longer. But I made some pecan maple energy bites with dates in them, and then I also made a new recipe to us with some matcha coconut energy bites. And it was so fun to have a different flavor to choose from every day depending on my mood, and we always love energy bites. They are just the perfect portable snack that is sweet and filling. After my dough had rested, I just used some flour to dust my cutting board, and then I cut this fluffy dough into about 8 sections. The recipe called to make 6 flatbreads, but my dough seemed huge, probably because I had to add a lot more milk to my dough. So I just cut it into 8 sections. I think you could make it whatever size and shape you desire. And once I cut it into equal sections, I dusted each section with a little bit of flour so that I could use my hands to shape the dough into rounds. I think any shape would be fine, and it kind of adds to the rustic charm of homemade flatbread. So just make whatever shape you desire. And once I had my dough flattened out, I heated up my griddle, which I love my griddle. I use it for so many things other than just pancakes, and bread being one of those things. So I just greased my griddle with some olive oil. I think it could have done without oil, but I kind of wanted to add a little bit of char to my flatbread. And then I just cooked the flatbread on each side for a few minutes until puffy and golden. And this was so nice to have on hand to enjoy with the falafel and the hummus, or if you cut it very carefully horizontally, you could use it as some bread to make a falafel wrap. Yeah, this was just delicious, and I plan to make it every week from now on because it was so easy, especially as it uses sourdough discard. You don't have to have fed sourdough, and it was so nice. My daughter also woke up from her nap and decided to help me very carefully with the last 3 pieces of flatbread. While the sourdough flatbread cooked, my daughter helped me make my favorite thing to have in my fridge at all times, which is my cold brew concentrate. We love to use this toddy machine contraption thing. I've had it for years. I've used it in China. I've used it in Malaysia. It is my favorite way to make coffee concentrate, so I'll link it down below. I just got it off of Amazon. It's really simple, and it makes delicious coffee, especially if you use really good beans. So here she is helping me make some delicious cold brew concentrate. We need to put this on a scale. I'm going to turn it on. So we need it to say 170. So that's only 9. You don't look at that's only 10. So we have to get to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 170. Perfect. Now we're slowly gonna pour. Use your right hand. I might have to help you, it's kind of heavy.
Wait, is this the middle not hot?
No, it's not hot. I know there's 3 cups in this thing. So we gotta go in a circle. Just aerate the cup. Here, I might need you to let go now so I can tip it even more. Okay, now I gotta wait for 5 minutes, so we're gonna do that one more time. I'll take it off so it doesn't fall. ton of food today and it feels so good. So made oat milk, cut up pineapple, made homemade pickles, made a lemon vinaigrette, made hummus, an orzo salad, 2 different kinds of overnight oats, 2 different kinds of energy bites. I'm gonna roast veggies fresh because we just love them and I usually have time to do that. Sourdough flatbread, falafel. White beans was just gonna be from a can, but I'm just gonna open that when we want it and pour over the dressing for some flavor. And my coffee. Feels so good to be stocked. I hope you guys enjoyed being a fly on the wall of my kitchen, watching me meal prep all of these items this week. If you want to see how I mix and match these ingredients throughout the week, be sure to subscribe because I plan to post a What I Eat in a Week video, which I will be posting next, and you can see all the delicious food I eat in a week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys very soon. Bye!